Why, hello. Ahoy. Welcome to the first ever Captain on the Bridge. I am your host, Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel. This is really just a quick test stream to work out some issues, but why not have a little fun while we're at it, right? Dude, I did not get to do my Captain's Cast last Sunday because of this terrible audio issue, which I think I may have worked out. Hopefully it has. If it has not been worked out, I'll make sure the stream is unlisted. But I've been chomping at the bit to talk about Acolyte. This show, you know what's fascinating is the immune response. It's the immune response to this show that's fascinating. Why can't we just admit that this is garbage? You know, I put in my title, I hate to kind of give up the game, but it might be unlisted anyway. I put in my title for Sunday's live stream, the most salient thought I believe I've had about not just the Acolyte, but Ahsoka, the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ahoy, Staffjare! How are you doing? Good to see you. I tried to sneak onto the internet without anyone seeing me, but you know, you never can tell. Staffjare's out there, folks. He's out there. We're testing the audio, Starfury. I believe I have the issue worked out. We're going to react to a Grizzy video, okay? We are going to watch a bunch of woke soy boys defend the Acolyte. You know what's so funny? Okay, so back to my thought. This is what's funny about it. I've watched all these garbage shows, you know, and every single time it's the same story. Well, give it a chance. It might be good. It's like, no, it's not going to be good because look who's running it. The Freak Show. That's who's running it. It's going to be shit. Because every single one of these is shit. It's, you know, it's like being, it's like spousal. It's like being an abused spouse. You just say, well, you know, he's working on himself. You know, he's really going to quit the bottle this time. It's like, no, he isn't. He's going to come home drunk. He's going to beat you some more. That's what's going to happen. That's what Disney Star Wars is. But you know, I've arrived at so many brilliant and trenchant analyses over my time studying the absolute disintegration. I mean, the disintegration, folks, of this IP that is, I mean, it is a worldwide phenomenon, Star Wars. To watch it disintegrate like it has, many brilliant things occur to me, such as, these are stupid people that write this shit. I was very happy to see Critical Drinker. He titled his second episode review, A Show Written by Idiots, referring to the Acolyte. I'm like, yes, thank you. My very thought. But a new thought has occurred to me because I'm watching the Acolyte, right? And I'm thinking, none of these Jedi are interesting. This show doesn't have anything interesting to say about the Jedi culture. I mean, think about it. You're going back in time 100 years. That should be a rich and fertile opportunity to explore the lore and the history and the culture and what were the Jedi like 100 years ago? What were they like 1,000 years ago? I mean, I still think that if you set a story back in, you know, like 2,000 years ago, and it's like armies of Sith battling armies of Jedi for the galaxy. I mean, how cool would that be? Well, we can't have that. But because we have to do ideas that are mid to bad in order to get anything made right now. So there's nothing new culturally. None of the characters have a character. Most of the actors, with the exception of the actor who plays Master Soul, whose name literally, I have like a blind spot. I have like a memory hole where I just cannot remember the guy's freaking name. I can remember Takashi Yamazaki, director of Godzilla Minus One. I cannot remember the actor who plays Master Soul. I'd have to look it up. I cannot understand, why are we here? I'm watching this show and I'm thinking, what am I here for? There's no murder mystery because the mystery is solved in the first scene. The first stupid scene. By the way, my video is live, so check out my channel. My full review is live right now. I worked very hard on it, and I hope it's not the worst thing I've ever done. Anthony Timmons is in the chat. Oh, hi, Anthony. We already know it's going to suck. It's freaking Disney. They always suck. I mean, yeah, they're corporate goons. They don't know how to make anything, these people. captain's chair is out of alignment. All right, there we go. Where was I? Ah, yes. No Jedi culture, no lore, no interesting murder mystery. The main character of Osha is she's a nothing burger. The actor's terrible. Amanda Stenberg, she's crap. I said it. Amanda Stenberg is absolute crap. She shouldn't be acting. She should be in High School Musical. She should be in Fuller House. Straight to Netflix. Every actor in this show, with the exception of Carrie-Anne Moss, the guy who plays Master Soul, and to some extent Charlie Barnett. Those are the only 3 actors of any talent in this show. And when I say of any talent, folks, I freaking mean it. I freaking mean it. There is no talent to be found anywhere else in this show at any level. Even the costumes and sets annoy me. Every stupid Star Wars bar is the same now. Every single one. It's a cheap knockoff of the Tatooine Star Wars bar. It's beginning to feel like the corny movies in the 80s that were like Battle Beyond the Stars, like super cheesy, and I don't mean to insult Battle Beyond the Stars, but corny science fiction space operas you've never heard of that just, they came and went in the 70s and 80s because they were corny, right? Star Wars was the exception to the rule, right? And this show it's just more of that, right? There's no interesting planets to visit. The planets don't have a history. None of these planets have a history. Oh, look, it's an ice planet. Oh, look, it's a green. The planet's green. It's green. Picture the ocean. The philosophy. Do you want to talk about philosophy? Oh, I love this. We have Master Soul giving his lesson to the younglings, and he says, I want you to picture the ocean. Picture its weight. Weight? What does weight have to do with the ocean? Nobody thinks of weight. They think of getting wet. They think, oh, I'm wet. I'm in the ocean. That's what they think of. They think of sharks before they think of weight. What is he teaching these younglings? He says, connect to the Force. Do you know what that's like? That's like going, like, you join the Navy, and you sign up to be a nuclear technician, and you report for your instruction to your professor at Annapolis, let's say. And your professor is there to train you in being a nuclear technician. And he says, I wish you to connect to nuclear knowledge. Okay? Connect to nuclear knowledge. See it in your mind. What do you see? I see atoms. Good. Good. I see nuclear fire. Exactly. Now, you are ready to operate on this nuclear submarine. That's what it's like to me. He's not saying anything. He's not saying anything meaningful. So we have no meaningful philosophy, no meaningful characters, no interesting planets. Time and space mean nothing in this galaxy. They just teleport wherever the hell they want. And a thought occurred to me. The only thing that Leslie Headland and all the people that worked on this show have, the only thing they have that makes this thing exist is 2 words. Star Wars. That's all it has. Watch The Acolyte, but just in your mind, erase the name and the brand Star Wars. Just remove it completely. All the same characters, just replace the word Jedi with Schlurpo. Yes, Schlurpo. Replace the term Jedi with Master Schlurpo. Same show. It doesn't exist, folks. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. There's no story here. No one in the world would have 1 minute of time. Even the dumb shills would have not 1 minute of time for this show, if not for 2 words, Star Wars. The name is the only reason this stupid, vapid, pointless, utterly boring, lifeless, soulless, pathetic, embarrassing non-story, the only reason it exists, the only thing that keeps this house of cards extant, is the name. This show cannot exist without the name Star Wars because it's not a show. It's nothing. It's nothing. It couldn't stand on its own as an assassin on a revenge quest. It wants to be Kill Bill. It's not. It wants to be the Watchman of the Jedi. It's not. I don't know what else it wants to be, but whatever it wants to be, it's not. Well, it is one thing. Diverse, equitable, and inclusive. It is very inclusive of fat Jedi. Fat slob Jedi is what it's inclusive of. Let me explain something to you. Fats can't be Jedi. Oh, did that hurt your feelings? Oh, I'm really sorry. Fat fuckers cannot be Jedi. Why? Because it's an athletic profession. It's an athletic... You have to be able to fight as a Jedi. But that's not even the issue. Forget about the fighting thing. You have to have a disciplined mind. In order to be a Jedi, things like greed and excess and gluttony, those are the path to the dark side because they indicate a drivenness, they indicate a restlessness that leads to passion, which leads to the dark side, right? Having a disciplined mind means having a healthy and fit body. Being fat is not, that is incompatible with that concept. No disrespect to fats. I am an ex-fat. Okay? I understand. Believe me, I was not fit to be a Jedi. And nor should I be. So anyway, as you can see, now listen, my anger is actually not at that. You may detect that the captain is on a bit of a, I'm on a bit of a warpath. It's actually not the show that angers me, because the show is nothing. The show is nothing. Acolyte is dumb. It's nothing. If it weren't for I'm just having fun with it, because it's like I'm doing this channel. It's work to me. It's like I'm having a good time with it. I don't care about the show in the slightest. What annoys me is that the show is a symptom of a greater problem in our society, which is that a bunch of weak, pathetic wackos are attempting to take control of everyone else's thoughts with their sick, woke worldview, and they are using, among other things, among everything else, they are using great stories written by better talents, by people that actually knew what the hell they were doing. They are using those names to push their sick, unhealthy, lazy, loser mentality. That's what I'm annoyed at. And then, when this piece of crap fails, as of course it must do, because it's nothing. It's not a show. It only has the name Star Wars. Without that name, it doesn't exist. It's nothing. Even Netflix wouldn't pick up this. I have an idea. I have a murder mystery for you, Netflix. Great, we'll buy it now. Well, hang on, let me tell you what it's about. Okay, I guess. It's about a bunch of monks in a monastery in a fictional galaxy. Sounds good. There's a murderer killing them. Ooh, and we have to find out who the murderer is? Well, we find out exactly who it is in the first episode. Oh, okay, great. But she's the twin sister of an innocent girl who turns out to not be the murderer, but she's suspected. Oh, so it's like The Fugitive, and she's a dude with a problem, and she has to, like, prove and clear her name. Well, no, not really, because her name is cleared in the first episode. But anyway, it's about being stunning and brave. Even Netflix is going to pass on that deal. They're going to be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it's called Star Wars. Oh, okay, we'll do it. That's what we have here. I tried to sneak onto the internet, and look what happened. Look what happened. Staffieri says, I've had a bowel movement with more artistic merit than the affluent being spewed out by Disney. Jeez, Staffieri. Thank you for putting it so delicately. Anthony is in the chat. Staffieri says, unexpected stream, now I am a happy bunny. How's the sound? That's the purpose of the stream. I think I've resolved the issue. You're not going to believe what solved it either. And goes on to say, I want the next Star Wars bar to be like a local pub from deepest, darkest Norfolk. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm in a bit of a lather over this, as you can see. But what I will say is, just to ground the discussion a little bit, and just dispense with all hyperbole. Uh, you know, yes, it's true. Fat slobs can't be Jedi, but that's not the point. The thing is, what George Lucas did with the original Star Wars, it was a visionary achievement. And even for a visionary, that's not easy to do. I mean, Robert Zemeckis has, I thought it was both depressing but fascinating when he said that the script for Back to the Future and the film and the way it came together was a 1 in a million thing. And he said that as a screenwriter, Robert Zemeckis said, I think that, every writer has one, maybe two, maybe at the very most 3 of those in him in his lifetime. But really probably only one. So what he's saying is Back to the Future is the best thing I've ever done. It's probably the best thing I'm ever going to do. No matter how good I am, it's lightning in a bottle. I caught it that once, and every good writer has a couple of those in him in a lifetime. And I'd like to think that's not true, but but that's what it is when you're pursuing something just grand and vision. I mean, I personally think Takashi Yamazaki, if he makes a sequel to Godzilla -1, I do not mean this in any way as a criticism or pessimism or anything. I don't think it's likely it'll be as good as Godzilla -1. I'm not saying it won't be great. I'm not saying I won't love it to death. I'm not saying it won't be just beautiful and awesome. I'm only saying that to achieve the greatness that he got with Godzilla -1, that's a high bar. And let's face it, folks, as a fan, an avowed, passionate fan of the prequel trilogy, let's face it, folks, it did not reach the level of visionary genius that the original Star Wars trilogy reached. In the same way that Return of the Jedi wasn't quite the visionary achievement of A New Hope. That's the general conventional belief. I actually disagree. I do fast forward the Ewoks, but I do love Return of the Jedi because of Luke and Vader's story, but that's neither here nor there. So what I'm saying is, on a good day with a good crew, Star Wars is hard. It's difficult to achieve the adventure, the joy, the fun, the tone. I've said of Furiosa that George Miller knows the tone of his post-apocalyptic Australian wasteland. He knows what that world feels like, sounds like. He knows the music, the soundtrack of that world, all of it. The pace of battles, the concept of road war. I mean, all of that is it just breathes as one in his films. Nolan films are the same way. Christopher Nolan, on a good day or a bad day, he knows how every level of his film breathes together. That takes talent, and I think that you could get a lot of good people in a room and get close to that with a TV show. But folks, consider we have dumb slobs like Leslie Headland, who is a garbage human, who is an idiot, does not know how to write at all. She's a corporate climber. And they have her running this. It would take someone really talented to at least execute at an adequate level the vision that is Star Wars. George Lucas himself would probably struggle with it. Why do you think George R. R. Martin won't write the next book? Because he knows. He knows. It's not easy to live up to the legend. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you that it's kind of, in a sense, it's kind of inevitable that these shows were going to be bad because, it's hard enough if you hire talented people. But these idiots? No, my friend. My dear friends, it's saltwater. Yeah, that's what Anthony pictures, saltwater with the sea. Yeah, picture the sea, the weight of it. Weight? What? It's a mixed metaphor. It's stupid. He's there's this line when he's teaching the younglings, right? And he says, "The Force is powerful. It is powerful like water, or no, like the ocean or fire." I'm like, the ocean or fire? Why don't you just say the Force is powerful like earth, wind, water, and fire? They're such brilliant philosophers, don't you know? You know the problem with, do you realize wokies can't write philosophy? Of course they can't. Do you know what a philosopher is? A philosopher, think about this for a second, folks. What is the very definition of what a philosopher is? It is someone who ponders questions for which there will never be an answer. That's why the question of what is the meaning of life? Why are we here? On a deep-seated level, each of us knows that even though we pursue that answer, we millions and millions of people, billions of people over the course of all human history have been pursuing this question over and over. They're born, they live, they die. We're born, we live, we die. And it repeats over and over and over. And every single time, it's the same question. Why am I here? What is the meaning of life? Well, that's philosophy. That requires two things: curiosity and openness to not having an answer. Do you realize that is the exact polar opposite of the woke mind virus? The woke mind virus is a sick religious cult in which all science is settled, all questions are answered, all morality is agreed upon, and all political correctness has been decided. And anyone who disagrees with that doctrine is a bigot and is to be excommunicado. Well, of course they can't write philosophy. Philosophy requires curiosity. Philosophy requires being open to being wrong about something. Philosophy requires being okay with things not having easy answers. Wokeness is all about easy answers. I am very fat, and I've been diagnosed with diabetes, and my foot is rotting off, and I'm probably going to die, and it makes me feel bad, because it means that if Jedi were real, I couldn't be one. Oh, well, then we're going to make a show where a fat slob can be a Jedi, and we're going to say, it's okay, you're fine just the way you are. It's like, that's not curiosity. That's not being comfortable with painful truths of reality. It's like, no. It's basically about whatever soothes my ego in the moment. So of course when they try to write philosophy, it's nonsense. It's just nonsense. It's things that it's little bits and pieces of things they heard from better works that they probably don't even remember. So thank you, Staffietti. I appreciate that. Unexpected stream. I think I read that one, but I read it again. Stormcrow. Gentle Stormcrow is in the chat. Says, ahoy, good to see you spreading hate for the Acolyte. I'm not spreading hate. I'm spreading joy and love, Stormcrow. I'm carrying the good word that bad shit fails. Folks, look, imagine this scenario, Stormcrow. Imagine if this thing came out, it was terrible, and it was loved, and like it was just crushing it in the reviews, and everyone loved it. That would be scary. That would be scary. I'm pretty happy. Look, it's only the shills that are in denial. It's only the lying access media and the corporate goons that are saying otherwise. Everyone else is aligned on this. It's crap. We knew it would be crap. It came out. It was crap, and it's failing. It's kind of an open and shut case when you get right down to it. So no, this stream is about having fun. I don't actually hate the Acolyte. I don't hate the Acolyte. The Capn is on the record as of this moment. I do not hate the Acolyte. I don't care. It's nothing. The Acolyte is nothing. This is why Rebel Moon didn't even register for the shills. You know how I said this? I said, where are the shills for Rebel Moon? Well, of course there's no shills for Rebel Moon, because Rebel Moon was a bad Star Wars script that amazingly got rejected. I mean, let's face it. Rebel Moon, is it... I mean, let's see. Rebel Moon or the Acolyte? I don't know. Oh, that's a tough one, you know? Which one has less self-awareness? Okay, I'm getting off course. Anyway, my point is, Rebel Moon is exact proof of what I'm talking about. Nobody cares about Rebel Moon. I mean, I do because I'm a nerd. And I did want it to be good. I was like, I think this will be great. If this is good, it'll be a nice competitor. As soon as it turned out that Rebel Moon was bad, and Rebel Moon was bad in pretty much the same way that the Acolyte is bad, that Echo is bad, that Secret Invasion is bad, Ahsoka is bad, the Book of Boba Fett is bad, Mandalorian Season 3 is bad, Moon Knight is bad, She-Hulk is bad. It is bad in the same exact way that all of those things are bad. Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, The Flash, Blue Beetle. It's bad in the same way that all of them are bad. What's the difference? The difference is, what the hell is Rebel Moon? Who cares? It doesn't have the name. That's why no one cares about Rebel Moon. That's why I'm saying the Acolyte is exactly the same thing. I would say it is worse than Rebel Moon because at least Rebel Moon is kind of cobbling together a Frankenstein monster of tropes that are roughly resembling a plot. I mean, the basic plot of Rebel Moon, as bananas as it is that there are farmers attempting to save their grain. Which, don't get me on that. But that's more of a story than this non-mysterious murder mystery in Acolyte. So I will give Rebel Moon that. But nobody cares. There's no shills for Rebel Moon. And there never going to be any shills for Rebel Moon because Rebel Moon is nothing. Just as the Acolyte, it's nothing. It's a non-story. There is no story here. And the only thing that gives it any kind of energy at all is the name Star Wars. We're not in a fight over good stories or bad stories. We're in a fight over the name. That's what that's what we're all about. That's what the shills are on about. They like the clout and the brand and the name that Star Wars is, and they think they can just slap anything. They can slap that name on anything, and there you go. So, Staffjere says, I am too apathetic to give a shit about anything from Hollywood anymore. I mean, I pretty much am the same way. I went to see Furiosa. I kind of didn't think I would like Furiosa. I went to see it. I pretty much loved it. I even liked the opening. Like, everyone was complaining the first 40 minutes are boring. I liked the first 40 minutes. I thought they were pretty good. You know, it's basically this kind of chase across the desert with a, sniping. Dude, there's a scene where her mother is like sniping these bikers as they're trying to flee across the desert, and it was a pretty brilliant action sequence. I quite enjoyed it. Anyway, by the way, those are things that like women are good at in combat. Like being snipers, actually, Battle of Stalingrad. Women are actually their disposition. Generally, obviously, the fact is we're all different, we're all individuals, but I'm saying generally speaking, women tend to be really good at being snipers. They tend to have more patience than men, which is like a really good, in terms of combat situations, they tend to be more patient. And that's what you need to be a good sniper in the ruins of Stalingrad. You need to be patient. And women tend to be better at that than men. So they were actually really good snipers. So like that. It's a great setup for the story for the most part. But also, someone said that, I think it was Gary on BBC today, was saying that Furiosa kind of just bears witness to the story and that actually kind of works in the Mad Max world. I kind of agree with him because the Mad Max world is the character in Furiosa. It's really his world and the insanity of it that's the character, and the characters in the story are mostly there to just witness it. Which is actually how I feel about Godzilla movies aside from -1. Mostly the characters are there to bear witness to the monster, which is Godzilla. Which is why -1 was so unusual, because the character of Kishkima was so central to it. And it was really about him, and Godzilla was the thing coming in. So, but I understand the apathy. I understand not caring about it. I truly think that it's bizarre that they have not left this trope behind of like, oh, gee, I have an idea. Instead of doing the popular main character, let's have it be a girl. Okay. Anthony says, I watched the prequels again last night. They still beat anything Disney shits out. Yeah, I mean, It's funny. I remember. So I remember seeing Attack of the Clones in theaters. I think I was in like late high school at that point. Like maybe I forget exactly where I was at that point, but I remember loving it because even though it was cheesy, I liked Anakin and Padme finally getting together. I liked the banter between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I hated it that they cut away from him getting revenge on the Sand People. I wanted to see him like slicing and dicing those Sand People. I really did because they deserved it. But I liked all of that. I was a little annoyed that Anakin was so obviously going to be Vader. I mean, the minute you see Hayden Christensen, he's already just like, I'm boiling with rage and impatience. I'm like, oh, gee, I kind of see where this is going. But anyway, I liked the Coliseum scene. I really, actually, I'll tell you this. I think Attack of the Clones had a lot of really good young hero on an adventure energy because Padme and Anakin both, they're kind of young people on an adventure. In fact, I felt very much the same way with Dune 2. Dune 2 with Paul Atreides and his girlfriend. What the hell is her name? I can't remember. It's really bad. Don't drink alcohol, folks. It's bad for you. Anyway, dude, my memory like 20 years ago was like, I couldn't forget a name in a movie, but I'm working on it. Anyway, there's something to be said for that. We don't see that anymore. Like they don't make movies. They kind of sometimes will get there almost with these young adult adaptations like The Maze Runner and stuff, but they're always dystopian. That's the thing. They're always dystopian. We've lost the fine art of like young people on an adventure, but that's not a dystopia, right? Like Indiana Jones or something like we just don't have that anymore. So we need to bring that back. But that's the energy Attack of the Clones had. I loved that Coliseum scene. You got to remember, we had never seen, more than like 2 Jedi in a scene ever up to that. Seeing Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan together in Phantom Menace was extraordinary. Extraordinary. Because we had only ever seen Luke and Vader. Those are, and Obi-Wan. But we never saw Yoda wield a lightsaber. So that's it. We saw 3 Force wielders total in the original Star Wars trilogy. In the opening scene of Phantom Menace, we start with 2 Jedi working together. Dude, that was mind-blowing. And then we see this Sith who fights both of them at once with a double-bladed lightsaber. That was crazy at the time. Then we get to Attack of the Clones, and we see like 100 Jedi in a massive pitched battle with robots. Droids is the appropriate term. They prefer droids. Anyway, that was amazing. I enjoyed the hell out of that. And my friend who was seeing it with me at the time, who liked Phantom Menace, we came out of the theater, and I was like, that was great. And he was like, I thought it was the most boring piece of shit I've ever seen. He hated it. He hated it. And I was like, really? I was like, why? Why do you not like it? And so on that went. But yeah, I liked Attack of the Clones. I did think the Sifo Dyas plot made no sense, and I do to this day. I don't understand that plot. I have literally gone on Wikipedia's. I've tried to timeline it. I don't understand it. I don't understand the Sifo Dyas thing at all. But whatever. It's mostly pretty good. Revenge of the Sith is amazing. It does have the worst line in fiction history, which is, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil, which I consider the worst written line of all time. And I cringed in the theater when he said that. I was like, oh, jeez. But great film. And, that brings up an interesting point. You remember I've told you, I was disturbed when I saw Order 66 in the theater. And I mean that as a compliment to the film. It was unsettling. It was disturbing, and it affected me pretty deeply. I couldn't stop thinking about it after the theater, like the music, the John Williams score while all the Jedi are being cut down. And dude, I held my breath when the 2 clone troopers were sneaking up on Yoda. I was holding my breath in the theater. I was so nervous. And then when I knew he wasn't going to die, but I was still nervous. I was like, what's going to happen, And then Yoda just gets them both. I was like, yes, yes, Master Yoda, yes. I was so happy. Anyway, why I bring that up is because I'm watching The Acolyte. And when Carrie Ann Moss dies in The Acolyte, spoilers, Spoilers for the Acolyte. When Carrie Ann Moss dies like a bitch in the Acolyte, there's nothing. I feel nothing. There's no sense of loss. That the thing about Order 66 is there was a very real sense that something beautiful is being destroyed. I don't think people quite fully understand that. There is a sense that something beautiful was being torn apart and destroyed in that moment, and it was powerful. BioShock, for example, is like one of my favorite video games of all time, and the creator of BioShock, his name escapes me at the moment, but the creator of BioShock was saying that one of the critical things you need for good survival horror, or just horror in general, is a fear of loss, a sense of something beautiful and a sense of loss of that beauty. And I think he's right about that. I think the idea of something beautiful being destroyed is sort of, or something valuable, something meaningful being destroyed or at risk of being destroyed is very crucial to a horror film being meaningful and impactful. Think of Ripley going back for the cat. As stupid as it is and annoying as it is, it actually creates that sense that like something Ripley loves is at risk in the Alien film, and that's why she goes to save the cat. Save the cat. So why that's so interesting to me is that there's none of that in the Acolyte. There is no sense to me of loss. There's no sense of loss whatsoever. If freaking OSHA goes to jail, who cares? Who cares? Like, even the moment when May approaches Carrie Ann Moss's character at the table, I don't know who any of these people are. I don't know who she is. I don't know why they're there. Indara, that would be Carrie Ann Moss's character, is sitting there with a bunch of people around the table. These characters never have a name. We never know who they are. We don't know what business she's doing there. We don't know why she's on the planet. May approaches and says, "Attack me, Jedi, with all your strength." So stunning, so brave. And Indara is kind of just silently regarding her, and all the people sitting at the table with her start laughing because they think it's a silly threat. And I remember being struck by the fact that, like, okay, this is something you saw in like a mafia movie, right? Like the big man sitting at the table and all of his henchmen laughing at some punk who thinks he's gonna do something. And it's like, but the problem is it has no meaning, because why is she here? Why is Indara at this table? Let me explain how you do the Acolyte episode 1 correctly. Are you ready for this? And I'm going to assume that this is a why done it story. The whole first episode follows her. That would be Indara, Carrie Ann Moss's character. She lands on a planet, and you tell a self-contained story with meaningful characters. She is on a mission of mercy to save someone, and she stops something bad from happening. But in the course of that, she uncovers that, like, somehow this was a trap that was set for her. She winds up in a cat and mouse game with a mysterious figure that she can't identify. She finds herself in the battle of her life. It's a running battle. Every beat of the story will be set up so that you expect Indara to prevail, because she'll have all those qualities of heroism. We just saw her save the lives of some villagers or something. We see that she's a good and decent hero, and we even see her do clever things that are outfoxing her enemy, but sooner or later her enemy wins and kills her. That would create a sense of loss, and I would even call the first episode "Death of a Jedi." Or maybe that would telegraph the ending, so I've got to rework that. We'll have to workshop it. We'll workshop it, chat. But my point is, I would think that the final image of episode 1 should be she's dead on the ground, and a masked, unknown figure we cannot identify stares down at the body, no words, no dialogue, and just walks away and leaves her rotting on the desert. Fade to black. We never see Amanda Stenberg. We don't know whether it was even a man or a woman who killed her. We just watched a whole episode of this cat and mouse game, and the Jedi lost. And we as the audience should be feeling at that moment a sense of loss. Something good has been destroyed. That's the feeling we should have. Now, episode 2, we cut to, Osha's character and give her another name because the name Osha is fucking stupid. We cut to Osha. She is accused of the crime. Now, remember, we don't know anything about a twin sister. We don't know anything about anything. All we know is she has been accused. And, of course, we'd have to have a better reason for why she's being accused. And there you go. And it becomes a dude with a problem story. And she has to clear her name. But along the way, she winds up unraveling some deep plot. And I'm not even saying you can't have some moral ambiguity. I'm totally cool with implying that there's some shitty behavior going on in the Jedi Temple. I'm totally cool with, this villain feels aggrieved by the Jedi for some reason. I'm fine with all that, but there's a way to do it where it would actually matter and it would actually be interesting and it would actually, because what it would do is it would introduce questions. Woke morons like Leslie Headland, cube-shaped woman and former assistant to Harvey Weinstein, they are incapable of being curious because they have all the answers, because they believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. What's the meaning of E equals MC squared? It means diversity. What is the meaning of life? Oh, I know, inclusion. They have all the answers, folks. They don't need any questions. They don't need to ask any questions. They don't need to evaluate their own ideas. So anyway, soapbox over. What do you say, chat? I didn't even expect you to be here. I just was going to test this and peace out. But then a chat just went ahead and showed up, and here we are. Yeah, agree, Star Fury. Hollywood is where creativity and ingenuity go to die. Anthony agrees. Staffyere says, the Jedi aren't inherently... But they're not evil at all, Starfury. What are you talking about? They are arrogant and way too sure of their righteousness. See, I disagree. I don't see them as arrogant at all. I mean, they came across that way a little bit in some... There is a scene in Attack of the Clones where Anakin says, that's enough, people, nothing to see here, Jedi business. I actually think it was kind of Lucas who made them come across a little bit arrogant in the prequels. But that being said, they were still servant leaders. They were still servants of the people, generally speaking, in the prequels. I think the reason that they come across now as arrogant is that I believe the current writers of Star Wars view the Force as a superpower. They view it as a comic book superpower, like being a mutant in the X-Men or something. That's actually not what the Force is. The Force is an abundant spiritual energy created and sustained by life. It is part of all life. It is created by all life. It is available to all life. It is part of all life forms. All life forms are in touch with the Force. I'm taking this from Empire Strikes Back. My favorite Star Wars film is Empire Strikes Back. That's where I'm drawing this conclusion. This is from what Master Yoda tells Luke, and also it's backed up, I think, by Obi-Wan and other things in the other films as well. But basically, that's it. I mean, why is it that Han Solo, who doesn't believe in Jedi, says, "May the Force be with you"? Why does he say that? Well, because it's a common saying of good fortune across the galaxy. Because the Force, it isn't that the Force is power. Yes, it's powerful, but that's because life is powerful. The Jedi are simply an order that devotes study to the Force and have cultivated abilities by partnering with the Force that have made them able to do good for others. And I think that you can have characters that are arrogant among the Jedi. I'm not disputing that. But I'm just saying that, and I'm not even denying that they went astray a little bit. Because, yes, they got pulled into politics. They got manipulated by Palpatine. I agree with all of that. But I think they were always, to my mind, fundamentally a force for good. They were a force for good. And that's why Order 66 had the impact it had. If I felt the Jedi were assholes and deserved it, I wouldn't have felt that way. I just wouldn't have. I think that's how Disney Star Wars writers feel. So Fu Man Blue is in the chat. Even Fu Man Blue found his way onto my secrets live stream. Don't tell anyone I'm online right now. Don't tell anyone. Definitely don't like the video. Fu Man Blue says, I watched Smokey and the Bandit again last night. That was better than I remembered. Did I tell you guys about my Godfather experience? I had never seen The Godfather. Don't tell anyone that. And a couple of weeks ago, I put it on and I watched it. I get about 30 minutes into it. I'm like, oh, I was being very, very snooty intellectual critic. And I was like, I see why people like this. It's a good, solid, good old-fashioned American crime drama, and I understand why this is a classic. And then the movie got to the second and third act, and by the time that the film ended, I was like, holy shit. I was like, I didn't have any clue what I was talking about in that first act. I was like, that film was incredible. The transformation of Michael Corleone is unbelievable. It comes completely like a bolt from the blue. I couldn't believe it. That the whole film, it's by the end of it, you're like, oh, that's okay. Now I get it. It's like, what an amazing film that is. Yes, skimming through the chat. We got to get to a Grizzy. Wrangler is in the chat. Oh, well, hail, Wrangler. And by the way, the purpose of this stream is to determine if I've solved the audio issue. And it appears, unless I hear otherwise, that I have. And do you know what the problem was? I literally was like, I was chatting with the StreamYard support team, and I was like, I have no idea how to fix this. And they referred me to a troubleshooting article, and I was about to lose my shit. I was like, are you kidding me? I pay for this service. YouTubers with millions of subscribers depend on you, and you're just going to refer me to an article? And then I looked at the article, and I was like, there is a lot I have to do here. And I said, okay, fine, you're right. Thank you for your help. And I slinked away. But then I went through the troubleshooting steps, and it turns out that, yeah, there's a very obscure setting on your audio in your computer that's like, oh, it's like 4100. It should be 4100 instead of any other number because that can create issues. So I changed it, and I was like, well, hopefully this is what fixes it. Did a recording. It fixed it on the recording, and I was like, that's it? It was a little audio setting that I would have never found if I had just tried. I could have never found it on Sunday because I would have been too distracted. So, yeah. Fu Man Blue says, to say the Jedi are arrogant because some are retarded at Starfury. I think the Jedi... I think it's fair to say they will often appear arrogant. I think the Jedi will always appear arrogant to the masses because they're in possession of great power. They're an old institution, and they're mysterious. And yeah, I think that is natural, that people will perceive them as arrogant, but also people will sometimes perceive them as heroes. I think a lot. Lucas does not get credit. You know, his dialogue was clunky. I'll give him that. Like, one of the weirdest lines I've ever heard was when Count Dooku says, double the pride. He says, what is it? Twice the pride, double the fall. And I'm like, what? That doesn't... wouldn't it make more sense for him to just say the greater, the greater heights of pride, the farther the fall? Wouldn't that make a little more sense metaphorically or something like that? But that was just always weird to me. Anyway. But that aside, the actual underpinnings of the story are pretty damn good because I love that. I remember quite distinctly when I saw The Phantom Menace. I think I was a freshman in high school, I think. I watched The Phantom Menace. I loved the part where young Anakin says to Qui-Gon, nobody can kill a Jedi, a very childlike idea of what Jedi are. And by the way, I, as the audience, pretty much agreed with him because we had just witnessed them survive the attack by the trade feds. We saw them save Queen Amidala. We've actually seen Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon kick a lot of ass up to this point of the story. And I love that when Qui-Gon kind of just very humbly kind of just turns to Anakin and says, I wish that were so. That's a brilliant line. That is a brilliant line that communicates the humility of the Jedi. It communicates that they aren't exactly what the world thinks they are. There's a lot of beautiful little reveals in that simple line of Qui-Gon saying, I wish that were so. And he doesn't say anything else either. He doesn't then go into some story about the day he saw a Jedi die the other thing too is he's not complaining. That's the other kind of thing about that line is like, I get the sense that there's a peacefulness and an acceptance about it. We do our duty and we may not come home. And that's part of just being a Jedi. In fact, it's even reinforced when Anakin says he wants to be a Jedi and Qui-Gon is giving him sort of his last chance to turn back. And he just says, the training won't be easy. It'll be a hard life. Are you prepared for that? Or something to that effect. And Anakin says, yes, I want to be a Jedi. That's a great line. Going back to the fat Jedi, this is why you can't be a fat Jedi, okay? It's a hard life. It isn't some jet-setting adventure where you get to wear, pretty white cloaks and you get to talk about how cool and stunning and diverse you all are. That is not what the Jedi is. The Jedi is a difficult, arduous life of austerity and pain and suffering. And it is a life of, you live on the road, people may spit on you and you're not going to be able to react. You may find yourself in deadly situations. You may wish to act, but your code prevents you. I mean, you are going to live a life of discipline, solitude, contemplation, meditation. They're a monastic order, right? So Qui-Gon is telling Anakin, this isn't some fun adventure where you get to have fun with lightsabers. It's a hard life. Are you prepared for that? Much will be expected of you. Which is why, if you're a fatty, you will be expelled from the Jedi Order. That's the point. There's a lot in the prequels that's actually quite brilliant. I don't think they get it. I hear prequel haters sometimes talking about them. There's a lot more there than you would think if you're looking for it. And lines like that to me are emblematic of that. Staviere says, the arrogance of the Jedi is shown by assuming Sith no longer existed, missing the clone plot, and for fuck's sake, Palpatine. Yeah, you may have a point, Staviere. You may have a point. However, I do feel that part of the whole idea was that Palpatine was a tactical genius. He was brilliant. And the idea was that Palpatine knew he could never escape the Jedi's notice. I mean, first of all, the rule of two, as I understand it, was to eliminate infighting among the Sith generally. It was to avoid the inevitable power struggle of armies fighting. But also, it was for stealth. It was because, yes, if there's thousands of Sith in the galaxy, the Jedi are going to be busy and they're going to be feeling the dark side everywhere. But if there's only two that live in secret and stay under the radar, well, there's a lot of damage they could do without the Jedi noticing them. And so, in my view, it was Order 66 was thousands of years in the making. Order 66 was a plan that was thousands of years and multiple generations in the making. That's what makes it so monumental. It took 2,000 years to defeat the Jedi. That's the point I get from it. In fact, Joe Abercrombie's amazing books are great. He has a second trilogy that succeeds the First Law trilogy. And he also has a trilogy of anthology books. So he has a total of 9 books that sort of chronicle this fantasy world of his. In the second trilogy, there's a problem, which is there is a kind of, shall we call it, a deep state in this fantasy world that is run by, I don't want to tell you who it's run by because it would spoil the first trilogy, but let's just say a very powerful individual in this world is kind of a puppet master who is controlling everything. It would be like if you had the Targaryens are on the Iron Throne and they run the Seven Kingdoms. What everyone doesn't know is that there is one individual who nobody even knows exists who's actually running all of it, and the king is his puppet. And that's basically the story. And the trilogy is kind of about this character who wants to beat this powerful being that is undefeatable and that controls the banks, the government controls everything. And this character comes up with a plan to defeat this system. And I'm not going to tell you whether he succeeds or not, but basically what his plan requires is to create so much chaos that this very powerful individual will be distracted and will not notice the moves that this character is making to sever this character's power. And there is a line in it that sums all this up that is so freaking genius. It blew me away. It's really good. The Age of Madness is the name of the trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I bring that up because that's essentially similar to what Palpatine did. Palpatine created a situation so massive, so chaotic, and so completely distracting that the Jedi were overwhelmed with its presence. And it was so distracting that they could not see anything. It was a fog that obscured their sight so that they couldn't see that the enemy was right in the middle of them. And I think that's pretty brilliant, Star Fury. That's all. I think that's pretty good. Thanks, Anthony. Good to hear. I think we solved it. Maybe we'll do another captain's. I'm calling this the captain's report because no promises this month, but my goal is eventually to have a daily show that's not as long as the captain's cast, and we just do like current events and stuff. So I figured, what the hell? I'll just name this one that. Fu Man Blue says, in the absence of evidence to the contrary, it's not easy for everyone to remain vigilant. Agree. Hey, question for you, chat. I might be rebranding the channel, and I was considering, and that's because there is another podcast named Swords and Starships. And so I don't name my podcast Swords and Starships, but I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with using a name I feel like might be a bone of contention. So I'm considering renaming to Swords to Starships, as in we cover all things nerd from swords to starships. What do you think? You like it? Or Swords versus Starships, or Swords add Starships, which is Latin for two. But I don't think I'm going to go with that last one because it would just be confusing. Swords what? Anyway. Think it over. Fu Man Blue says, it doesn't matter, Star Fury. I only said anything because we had anything to fight about in a couple weeks, and I was lonely. I was lonely. Gee, Star Fury, give Fu Man Blue a good fight. Get your flamethrower, Star Fury. Star Fury says, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, and history should be enough of a hint to keep you focused, and the fact that they never thought that another power could rise to destroy them is arrogance. I'm not disagreeing with you, Star Fury. I think you're saying 1 + 2 is 3, and I'm saying 2 + 3 is 5. I feel like we're sort of getting at this different ways. I roughly agree with your point here that the Jedi certainly did screw the pooch, and they got complacent. I guess what I would say is you call it arrogance. I more call it complacence. I think a better word, and it's a very snooty word I learned from Victor Davis Hanson, ossified. The Jedi became ossified. And we're going to stress test the audio in real time because I'm going to pull up a web page and just share my screen and see if it holds up with sharing screen. Here we go. Ossified, to become or change into bone or bony tissue, which is not what I'm referring to. Rather, it's the second definition here. To become or make hardened in or set in one's ways. To become set in your ways. Like you, Starfitty. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Starfitty. To become set in one's ways is basically ossified. That's what happened to the Jedi. They became ossified. Hey, let's try IMDb and let me know if the audio quality drops here. Because IMDb is like the worst for this. Oh, dude, I forgot. I'm so excited for Arcane 2. Dude, I'm so excited for Arcane 2. We got to check that out. Anyway, there you go. I'm running 4.3 for the Acolyte. What the hell? Let's check out the reviews, shall we? Let's check out the reviews on the Acolyte. The Boys is this week. I'm excited for that. I'm going to be checking that out. Where is it? Where is the Acolyte? Why can't I find it? There it is. Okay, cool. Dude, these critics are so full of shit. They are so full of shit. They're like 85%. Listen to me. This would have a 20% if it did not have these two words attached to it. Flat, which is, and if it were good Star Wars, it probably wouldn't be this high. I'm actually curious. How do they define this? A former, yes, there we go. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi master. That would be Master Soul, to investigate a series of crimes. They're not investigating anything. They know who did it in the second episode. It's so stupid. But discovers the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. 25% audience score. Let's see here. These are some of the critics. The performances overall are more dynamic, the writing more engaging than usual for Disney. What? Which keeps the series from dragging like its predecessors. I literally, in my video, which is live on this channel, check it out, I literally play for you a couple of the stupid dialogues in this show. One of the dialogues is verbatim. Osha walks, she's impersonating her sister May. She walks into an apothecary shop, and you would think she wants to pretend to be her sister. So she's like, walks in, says, "Hi, I'm here to discuss our mission." You know, something like, I don't know. She walks in and she goes, "Hi." The apothecary says, "Hi." Then they cut to the Jedi listening on the wire, and you hear, "Hi," from her, and then you hear, "Hello." It cuts back to the to the apothecary shop, and he says, "Hi." And I'm like, what the hell? What is this? These are people that don't know what to write. They don't know. They have no clue what they should write. Oh my God, it's so bad. Anyway, okay, let's take a look at the audience reviews. Dude, that is still too high. 25% is still way too damn high, but I'll take it. Load them up. I want to see these ratings. While the scenery looks decent, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It's AI-generated Star Wars. I just big disagree. The scenery looks like shit. Green planet! Icy planet! Star Wars bar! Aliens with weird things on their faces! Anyway, resuming with the quote, the dialogue is very stale. The acting is decent, but no, it's not. Well, he does say by only a couple of characters. Okay, I agree with that. But the script is rough. That's putting it gently. It doesn't help that the showrunners and cast constantly degrade anyone who doesn't like it. You want fans to like it? Write a decent show. I know, it's a crazy idea, right? With gripping characters we actually want to care about. Dude, we are so far from this. We are so far from gripping characters. Dude, we're not even in the ballpark. We are not even in the ballpark of gripping characters. We'd be lucky if we got, like, cartoonish characters. Oh, I like this review. This series is a joke. A barely recognizable Star Wars show. It's not Star Wars. It's bullshit. It is bullshit Tumblr fan fiction nobody would be interested in the slightest, least of all the shills, if it did not have these two words attached to it. See Rebel Moon for proof. Rebel Moon is just like a Disney Star Wars show or movie. It's just like it. Nobody cares about Rebel Moon because it's Rebel Moon, and Rebel Moon isn't a thing. After a few minutes, they killed off one of the reasons I decided to watch the show. Well, yeah, that would be Carrie-Anne Moss. One of only 3 good actors on the show. Killed my interest in the show as well. And, well, it should. This show is abysmal. It is not Star Wars. It is poorly written, poorly acted, poorly conceived. I would add just everything. Everything. The lore is terrible. Poorly acted, poorly conceived, poorly directed. Poor set design, poor costuming. You know, so I think it was Chuck Dixon on BBC, Real BBC, was saying that they kind of break a cardinal rule. It's like, if you just want to stay, they keep going back and forth to the same locations. It's like, either go to a new location or stay at the same location. Don't have the characters go to Coruscant, you know, leave the ice planet, go to Coruscant, then come back to the ice planet. It's like, it's so stupid. I've always wanted to see a pre-episode 1 Star Wars. So far, the series seems promising. Seeing characters and actors from diverse backgrounds truly delights me. You know, I was about to defend this person until I saw this word. Once I saw that word, I'm like, oh, fuck off. You're a wacko. But they're like I can understand saying, I've always wanted to see a pre-episode 1 Star Wars. Well, actually, maybe I can't. I hate prequels, and I didn't really have any interest in that. Unless we're going back 2,000 years and I get to see armies of Sith, but not in the hands of these idiots. But then I see diverse backgrounds. As if to say that the original Star Wars did not have that. Do you understand how stupid this is, whoever the hell you are? That would be Bobby. This is asinine. Why would you say... Listen, if you think the original Star Wars just was a white supremacist piece of trash, why are you a Star Wars fan? 1-star review. When I was told about the Acolyte, I heard it was bad. But holy hell, that was an understatement. You got that right. I love the Star Wars universe and grew up with it. And this so far has been the most disappointing content I have ever seen. I was going to let it slide... until I saw the 90% Rotten Tomatoes review. You are not missing out on anything by not watching this. And in fact, I envy you if you haven't seen it. Oh, that's a good line right there. I like that. If you want more Rose Tico level... Dude, Rose Tico is practically King Lear in terms of character work by comparison. Okay. Rose Tico is Hamlet compared to these characters. Yeah, if you want Rose Tico level disappointment and annoyance, give it a watch, but it genuinely feels insulting to the fan base. Well, that, Sean, that is the point. It is an insult to the fan base, deliberately so. They hate you. They hate your guts. They hate science fiction. They hate space. They hate the science behind space travel. They hate Star Wars fans. They hate the Jedi. They hate the idea of the Jedi. Why? Because there's a fat Jedi. That's why. They hate the idea of the Jedi, because if they loved the idea of the Jedi, there wouldn't be fat Jedi in it. Because that's not the Jedi. Being fat is a sin. In terms of gluttony and greed, it is a pathway to the dark side. 1-star review. Look how they massacred my boy. Yeah, no, I agree with that. 1-star. Perhaps it's some distant galaxy far, far away where the audience lacks any critical thinking or perception. They're not as far away as you think. This show would have been great. Fortunately and unfortunately, this is not that galaxy. Instead, we reside in a galaxy where the top critics, the approved intellectual class, think with their butts and poop with their brains. Okay. This is the only justification I can find for why the show has such a high critic score. It's because they're liars, sir. Or madam. What are we dealing with here? Nondescript. Sir, madam, or it. It is because they are liars. They're not real critics. If this were Rebel Moon, The Acolyte, a series by Zack Snyder, this score would be about a 40%, if that. Why? Because then it wouldn't be a platform that they can use to push their sick worldview. Half-star review. The show seems quite forced. I see what you did there. It's cool to have a female main character. Oh, really? Oh, no, we've never had one before. I'm with you, sir, Madam Marit. Logan? Oh, Logan, you're so right about this. Have you ever seen a female lead in anything lately? I sure as hell haven't. I sure as hell have not seen Echo, or The Marvels, or Madam Web, or She-Hulk. I certainly have not seen, or Black Widow. I have not seen Furiosa. I have not seen any. There are just no good female main characters. It's a travesty. It's a crime. It's cool to have... Okay, I probably should have read the other half of his sentence. I may have jumped to conclusions. I apologize, dear Logan. It's cool to have a female main character. So he's saying it's not a big deal. I'm fine with it. But don't shove it down our throats. Okay. So there was no purpose for my rant. But I stand by it all the same. Just give us a decent story and keep to the lore. I should really read the full context. Bad Captain. That's very bad, Captain. Just want a good story. This is not it. I really wish Disney would just stop. They won't. They won't. They've got a taste for it now, Sonny Jim. Please, you're breaking my heart. Oh, dude, he just invoked Padme. Who wrote that? Okay, Ian here. Ian here is invoking Padme. Please, you're breaking my heart over and over. It feels like a Freudian pact where you've wished for more content and the devil gives you this. I kind of like that. I would say, would you not say Faustian? Faustian, referring to or resembling Faust, a German astronomer and necromancer reputed to have sold his soul to the devil. Yeah, I'm right about this. You should have said Faustian, not Freudian. That would have been better. Maybe that's what he meant. It feels like a Faustian... I fixed it for you. It feels like a Faustian pact where you've wished for more content and the devil gives you this. I think that's literally what Ian meant. He just said Freudian instead. If Star Wars has a place in your heart, do your best to pretend this does not exist and just remember back when Star Wars meant something. Well, Ian, I'll do you one better. I'm streaming about it at this very moment to make fun of it and to insult it and the stupid people who wrote it and have some fun. And not only that, we're celebrating we're talking about how awesome Qui-Gon Jinn is. We're talking about how awesome the prequels were, how much I love the prequels. I actually, the more I think about it, the more I do love them a lot. I really do. WTF, what were the critics thinking? They just blew their credibility with me. Oh, dude, you are late to the party, my friend, but welcome. Welcome to the rebellion. This series writing is trash. If I could find a more accurate word, because this is an understatement. The best word I have found to describe the writing of this show and about 10 other D+ series is embarrassing. A public humiliation ritual. We don't want this to stop, please. Oh, that gets applause. It's like a Guantanamo inmate just baking. Oh, that's funny. We don't want this to stop, please. Oh, that's hilarious. Sound holding up, chat? Is it holding up? Good. Could have been a good show. I mean, honestly, I was kind of saying that in the beginning. Like, oh yeah, Star Wars, why done it? Why not? Actually, no. We don't need that. We don't need a Star Wars murder mystery. We don't need that. Not involving the Jedi. But that being said, Star Trek actually did a really good why done it story. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, is a why done it story in the Star Trek universe. It's done very well. Kirk gets framed for murder. He gets framed for the murder of the Klingon Chancellor. It's brilliant. And it does it the correct way. So it can be done. Watchmen. Watchmen is about a league of superpowered people, so analogous to the Jedi, and one of their number has been murdered, and one of their number is actually guilty of the crime, but we don't know that at the beginning, and one of them is pursuing the case. He's trying to, solve it. That would be Rorschach. So there are ways to get at this. But as I have frequently said, these are stupid people, and they don't know how to do that. Quote, like bad writing, bad acting, nonsense plot, woke propaganda, seriously, who wrote this show? Well, a ferret, a drunk chimpanzee, actually a very stunning and brave cube-shaped woman who studied under Harvey Weinstein is who wrote it, directed it, created it, and executive produced it. So stunning, so brave. Folks, 4. Separately, 4 4 credits in the show are Leslie Headland at the end of the first episode. Because think about this. When you finish it, when you get to the end of a Nolan film, right? What do you see? Written and directed by Christopher Nolan. And you're like, bravo, Sap. Bravo. What do you see at the end of The Acolyte? Even the end of, like, Phantom Menace, what do you see? Written and directed by George Lucas. That's all. Written and directed by George Lucas. Does he say, written by George Lucas, directed by George Lucas, produced by George Lucas, craft service table by George Lucas, production design by George Lucas, assistant grip, George Lucas. It's like, I just want my name to be on everything. That's basically what it is. It's not good. It's not Star Wars anymore. It's just for the crazy people. As I like to put it, the inmates have escaped the asylum, and they are smearing the walls with their... Shall you? You can paint the picture. It's just not Star Wars. It was not good. The story seems to be trying to change the history of Star Wars. I would honestly give it a lower rating if it was possible. Yeah. Poorly written, poorly directed. How do you get Carrie Ann Moss and kill her off at 6 minutes 30 seconds? You know, this is a great question. I actually really, all kidding aside, Sean over here has a really great question. Do you realize that whenever I watch one of these stupid shows, I have about 50 questions like this in my head? When I'm watching Ahsoka, the Book of Boba Fett is the first time I mean, this was my blue pill to red pill moment with Disney. When a good friend of mine sat me down to watch an episode of, because I was like, this show's boring, and I quit after the first episode. But then a friend of mine was like, oh, did you see the Mandalorian? This is after Mandalorian season 2, which I liked. He was like, did you see that Mandalorian shows up in the Boba Fett show? And I'm like, no, okay, well, I'm not that interested. Oh, you gotta watch it. It's pretty good. All right, if you insist. I really didn't want to. He puts it on, and it starts out, the Mandalorian, you know, he's on a journey. He's got the dark saber or something. I honestly can't really remember much of it. It was just like he had the dark saber or something. And it's going on, and he's studying under the blacksmith. This is the way. Do you know the way, Din Djarin? Do you know the way? Have you seen the mythosaur? Only the chosen few have seen the mythosaur. Whatever. Anyway, so he's studying under the blacksmith and Brienne of Tarth. And it keeps going. And I'm like, are we like 30 minutes into this episode? Uh-huh. Where's Boba Fett? Oh, he's not in this. What? I thought the whole point was Mando is going to cross paths with him, and they're going to do like a little team up, you know, like Wolverine wanders into Spider-Man or something. Like what the hell is this? And he's like, well, it just only focuses on the Mandalorian. Then they have a whole episode, but the show is called The Book of Boba Fett. What's going on here? You know what I mean? And there's a second episode that's just The Mandalorian, season 2.5. It's the weirdest, at the time, it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen in a TV show at the time. Things have changed since then, but it was bizarre. I was like, I've never even heard of something like this. Who writes a TV show this way? How does this make any sense? Why would you do this? I was like, the questions, man. The questions were just piling up. And I'm like, I can't understand this. And of course, now it's like you compound that with every show I've watched since then. So what I'm saying is, I understand why you have this question among many, many questions. Why would you get Carrie Ann Moss and kill her off in 6 minutes of the show, like in the dumbest possible, least interesting way? We don't even know who she is. Frankly, we have no sense of her character. Why would you do that? Well, sir, I have arrived at the best answer I can think of. These are stupid people who eat glue. I don't have any other answer for you. They're fucking stupid people. That's all I can tell you. Because I don't understand how you can make decisions like this either. And the only explanation I have for it I'm sorry. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I just, there's no other explanation I can think of. All right, enough of that. Oh, man. Captain's log. I did have a little 7-minute podcast I was doing a couple years ago called the Captain's log. Don't look for it. It's not, don't. Anyway, it's garbage. Anyway, I thought about doing that. Fu Man Blue says swords to starships is good. From the bridge. What do you mean from the bridge? Is that like a title suggestion? Because I'm intrigued, Anthony. Tell me more. Yes, Stoffhetty. He says ossified, exactly the word I was looking for. Dude, hat tip Victor Davis Hanson. That's the first time I'd ever heard that. From his book, The Second World Wars, he uses that phrase a lot to describe, like, just, you know, outdated military doctrine that's, like, stuck on old ideas and it's not working. Such as the French and English using the old, like, support the infantry model of tanks, whereas the Germans were using the Blitzkrieg, you know, the mass tank columns. No offense, Stoffhetty. You will recall that we beat the Nazis together. We Brits and Yanks, we learned our lessons. We learned our lessons. Fu Man Blue says Arcane didn't suck. I quite liked Arcane. I really did. It was pretty good. I don't understand the League of Legends world, though. Like, I don't understand that world, and I don't understand... I literally have looked up the game League of Legends. I'm like, what is it? I don't understand what it is. I guess I'd have to play it to understand. But I like the show. I do. Star Fury says, I am completely ossified and proud of it, good sir. You know, as it is said in Warhammer 40,000, an open mind is like the gates of a fortress left unguarded and unbarred and unguarded. Elder Pride, says Fu Man Blue. Sounds still great even after opening a new tab. Well, we're going to have to do a Grizzy video for the final test. Master Soul is like the South Park Jedi, only not as clever. What else we got? Thanks for hanging out with me. I was seriously like, no one's going to see this. Just going to jump on real quick. Just get out of here. Star Fury says, sorry, what is the Wa-Man you speak of? Are you talking about Watchmen? Anthony says, oh, that must be an in-joke. Fu Man Blue says, say what you want about Disney. It did bring us all together. Well played, Disney. Well played. I'll tell you, yeah, I would say right up until the Book of Boba Fett, I actually thought, I really hated what the sequel trilogy did to Luke and everything. So when Luke comes back at the end of Mando Season 2, I mean, I very mistakenly thought, because Dave Filoni, I still had a high opinion of Dave Filoni at that time. And I thought, this is Dave Filoni being secretly based, and he's fixing things. He's basically saying, we get it, we heard you, we know, it sucked. It sucked what Rian did. We're fixing it, right? Boy, there's wrong, and then there's wrong. Oh, my God. I was so wrong about that. But okay, so that's where I was at. So then I see those 2 Mando episodes in the Book of Boba Fett, and I just remember, I could not work it out. I was like, why would you do this? It just made no sense at all. And then they have Luke just undo the whole story with Grogu, which I hated. I hated that because the ending with Grogu, although I had my problems with how they executed it, it worked. It worked. It was like, okay, he's going off to train with Master Luke. That also gives us kind of an answer to like what Luke is doing. Hey, how come Luke isn't solving all these problems? Oh, because Luke is dealing with rebuilding the Jedi, and that sort of answered that question. So the fact that they reopened that sort of closed, resolved storyline, it was an ill omen. And I was like, uh-oh, this is not looking good. And we all know what happened next. That was the beginning of the end. That was really a big blue pill moment for me, where I'm like, they're not. But even then, I don't think like when Obi-Wan was coming out, I remember thinking I didn't have high hopes. But I did feel that, like, well, here's the deal. They really can't afford to screw this up because with the hate that those sequels have gotten, they don't want to burn the prequels, right? If you burn the prequels, then you got nothing to work with. And Rogue One was good. Rogue One was good. So I believed that I believed that there were two shows that they could not afford to screw up. I believe they could not afford to screw up Mandalorian because Mandalorian was the only good thing they had going. And Obi-Wan had Hayden and Ewan coming back, and the prequels still have all that goodwill, so they couldn't afford to screw it up. So I viewed it as like they'll put their A team on these. That's what I figured. I figured they'd have to put their A team on it. There'll probably be some woke bullshit in it, but hopefully they'll have the good sense to like hire an actual writer for it, right? Then Obi-Wan comes out. It's a total disaster, like an embarrassment. And then they just keep making them. And I'm like, what? What? Has the world gone mad? Why do you hate making money? That should, you're corporate goons. Isn't there one thing that you want? Isn't it greenbacks? What was I just about to look up? Yeah, Andor. Because I think I said it was the writers of Chernobyl that wrote Andor, but I don't know if I'm correct about that. I said that on a previous stream. I want to double check. Andor, which was pretty good for the most part. I think it needed to have about a third fewer episodes, but creator was Tony Gilroy. What did he do? Cast and crew. What was his claim to fame? Let me know if you're getting any static on my audio, because I'm opening up multiple tabs here. So, Devil's Advocate. Oh, I love that movie. He wrote that. That's a great. Michael Clayton. I love Michael Clayton. That was a good one. He also was a writer on Rogue One. He was, producer on Nightcrawler, not a writer. Let's see. I'm looking for writing credits. Andor. We'll just, Rogue One. The Great Wall. I never even bothered with that one. Michael Clayton, which is a brilliant film if you've never seen it. The Bourne Ultimatum, which was pretty good. That's right. He was the Bourne guy. The Bourne Identity, Supremacy, and Ultimatum. Yeah. So yeah, he's got a Proof of Life. That was decent. Russell Crowe film. This guy's a talent. This guy he's got a jacket. He's got a writing jacket. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea if that's actual vernacular. I'm just making it up, but it sounds right. I mean, look at this chat. Thanks, Anthony. Audio still sounds good. This is what's called having chops. This is what's called having credentials. This is the author of Andor, right? Writer of Andor. He's got real successful films to his name. He wrote the screenplay for Rogue One. I maintain a really great film. I've never watched The Great Wall. It looks stupid to me, but maybe. Bourne Legacy was crap. Definitely agree with that rating on it. Michael Clayton was a brilliant film. Bourne Ultimatum was pretty good. Bourne Supremacy was good. Bourne Identity was pretty good. He wrote Armageddon. I love The Devil's Advocate. That's a great movie. Yeah, there you go. So, there you go. This is someone who has talent. They hired someone who had talent to write Andor. Star Fury had something to say about the Blitzkrieg. No, just don't get yourself a timeout, Star Fury, okay? Just be careful. Because I don't control that. YouTube does that. I don't do that. Dang it, I lost it in the chat. I saw it there somewhere. Star Fury asks, why kill Carrie-Anne Moss in 5 minutes? She is prettier than Hedlund, and she's straight. So far as we know. Yeah, I agree with you. That's probably why Leslie's like, no, there's way too much babe on screen. I got to get rid of that. Get rid of that. I'm going to kill those tabs anyway. Anthony says making popcorn. Staffjord says the Blitzkrieg was invented by Hobart. Rommel kept Hobart's books by his bedside. Wasn't it Guderian that came up with the Blitzkrieg? Or am I thinking of the general who recommended the Ardennes offensive? Because no, that's not the German Ardennes offensive. No, that's not it. It's giving me the Battle of the Bulge. I wish I could remember. I can't remember which general it was. I don't think it was Rommel, though. I don't think it was Rommel. Maybe it was... But Staffjord is saying that Hobart invented the methodology. Well, I don't doubt that. It was circulating in... Well, actually, you know what's really interesting is when the Germans prior to World War II were rebuilding, they were in their secret rebuilding program of their military, and they had not revealed it to the world. One of the first things they did is they sent their generals over, and their strategic thinkers, they sent them over to Russia, and they would observe tank war games and like take notes on like the strategies and like the new thinking behind it. So I totally believe that like they absolutely copied notes from what they were learning from the Russians and other European powers that were testing, in war games, different like tank strategies. Wrangler says, I used Hobart to wash dishes at a restaurant. Thank you for sharing, Wrangler. This is a safe space. Speaking of safe spaces, did you know that there is a type of human, unlike you and me, who suffers, dear chat, from a debilitating and highly crippling disease? It is called Shillery by Disney Proxy. It is not contagious, fortunately, but it is highly incurable. It results in a strange, obsessive compulsive need to attack anyone who is sane, values good writing and character work, and wants to, strangely, be entertained by the things they watch. And the type of person that gets triggered and all worked up by criticism of things like the Acolyte is known as a shill. It is a terrible stigma, and many of them suffer even to do basic necessities of life. And while we pity them, we must also have a removed and curious scientific mind. We must study the shill. We must study the workings of their mind. We must understand the nature of the disease, or else it can never be cured. We are a channel that believes in hope. Hope for the shill. Unfortunately, they make me sick. And I do not have the stomach. I cannot hold down food for long enough to study the shills in detail. Fortunately for us, there is a man who is capable of studying the shills and has a doctoral thesis written and a doctoral degree in shill studies. His name is Mr. Grizzy. And he has spotted some trouble. So he's spotted some shills that they got it bad, folks. So we're going to take a look. Fortunately, he's got a stomach for this sort of thing. Where is it? Grizzy shills. Take it away, Mr. Grizzy.
I was either this morning or last night. I was like, watch the first 2 episodes. There's a lot that's got me kind of like roped in. I'm intrigued by it. I want to keep watching, blah, blah, blah. If there were, let's say, 8 responses.
Soy number 1. Soy number 2. Yes, for those who don't know, Mr. Grizzy is a scientific man. And in the appropriate scientific nomenclature, it is necessary to label the subjects by scientific specimen names. So this is not intended as an insult. It is just good science hygiene.
7 of them were positive, and then one was like soy boy.
Someone called him a soy boy. Dude, everybody who's on the internet gets hate on the internet. Why do they always cry about getting hate on the internet? Everyone gets hate on the internet. If you're on the internet, you're going to get hate. That's just how it is. Dude, and I don't even blame the internet. I don't blame our culture has gone to hell in a handbasket and people are too mean. Or like Dr. Jordan Peterson, it's like, well, the problem is people are anonymous online and that means they can just say whatever they want. And that's not good. It's not. Folks, it's human nature. We're crabs in a bucket. Think back to elementary school. The minute you started to stand out and be good at something, what happened? Some little asshole tries to steal your lunch money or something or wants to pick a fight with you. We're crabs in a bucket, folks. It's just our nature. We all just have to learn to deal with it. The internet has just simply given it a new way of expressing itself. But the soys can't handle this sort of thing,
So it's pretty obvious at this point that most Star Wars fans are not buying what the Acolyte is selling. They just don't like it. However, the woke pro-Disney activist crowd, they are pulling out all the stops to ensure this show succeeds.
I absolutely loved it. This one is on the top tier for me for Star Wars series.
I just think go in. I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to be as pleasantly surprised as I was.
No!
It's freaking Star Wars. It's new, but it's freaking Star Wars.
No! Is it?
What an odd turn of phrase. It's new, but it's frickin' Star Wars. What is that? Why do you phrase it that way? What? No shit. If it's new Star Wars, then yes, it is new. That would be like saying, I just got out of Revenge of the Sith. It's really good, guys. It's new, but it's Star Wars. What does that even mean?
Man, no, I think it's pretty good.
Hey, look, I really enjoyed Acolyte for the most part.
God, that is Disney's targeted male audience, right?
No, seriously, though. If you've got blue hair, it's no big deal. Actually, the movie's cynic. Some people can pull it off. It's just apropos of nothing. It's just a common trait of the shill. That's all.
Right there, Jesus Christ.
Your parents must be fucking so proud.
But they're now taking it a step further than just blindly praising it. Joining Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, and the pro-Disney media in attacking real Star Wars fans simply because they don't like the show.
It was in my recommended, and it was people talking negative things about the Acolyte, and I was like, let me just watch 5 minutes and see what these knuckleheads are talking about.
And that 5 minutes of someone daring to criticize the Acolyte led to one of the biggest soy rants I've ever heard from these guys in over 2 years of covering them.
And you start seeing the internet, how the racist people are coming out and how they feel about Star Wars because what they feel reaffirms their core beliefs or whatever.
Soy number 1 crying racism with no proof. What a shock.
Nothing out of the ordinary here.
Now, soy number 2 mentioned earlier that he watched 5 minutes of someone talking negatively about the Acolyte. And I'm assuming at 5 minutes he got triggered and had to stop watching. I, in this past week, have probably watched about 25 hours of Disney Star Wars shill content.
Jesus Christ!
God.
So,
dude, that is a talent right there. To sift through hours and hours of this, oh my God. Bless you, Grizzy. Bless you, sir. You are performing a service to humanity.
Unlike you two, I actually know what I'm talking about when I discuss people who have a different opinion than me. And in that 25 hours, none of these people have provided any tangible proof of legitimate racism against the show, a cast member, anything.
Charlie Burnett, who is in The Acolyte, has been under fire for joining The Acolyte ever since people realized his skin color.
This is insane. Comic books cast.
Oh, jeez. No, dude. God, it's... Okay, folks, listen. This is important. I want to explain something. This is what angers me. Not the show. The show is moronic. It has no substance whatsoever. Honestly, I feel apathy. I feel a kind of, Zen neutrality towards the Acolyte at this point. It's not Star Wars. It's pathetic LARPing. It's written by idiots that eat glue. Whatever. I really don't care. I do enjoy making fun of it, and I really do enjoy tearing it to shreds. And to the extent I can monetize that, you better believe I will. But that being said, what gets me angry is wackos like this that lie. They lie about the Star Wars fandom. At a basic fundamental level, this is a lie going back to 1977. There has always been diversity in Star Wars. There have always been strong female characters in Star Wars. It's ridiculous. Lando Calrissian, the voice of Darth Vader, one of the greatest and most famous fictional characters of all time, voiced by James Earl Jones. So it's when they say this, they're not just lying about what we're saying about the Acolyte. They are lying about what George Lucas created. This is very important. They are lying about the original trilogy when they say dumb shit like this. If they could shut their mouths and for 1 minute put aside the sick, woke worldview that infects all of their thoughts, they might actually realize that the same people who hate The Last Jedi, who hate The Acolyte, who hate Disney Star Wars, are the same people who were pissed generally that Finn got screwed in the sequel trilogy, because Finn was the most interesting new protagonist in Star Wars when he started out. A stormtrooper that had a change of heart, that had broke through his programming, that was instantly fascinating. It was instantly an underdog story. I still remember to this day after Force Awakens all the fan theories about where Finn could go, what he could do. And you know what they did? These stupid writers that these wackos are defending screwed his character over. This is a lie. These people are losers. And we're going to rip the shit out of them.
Is claiming that the only reason fans are attacking, not even attacking, trolling Charlie Burnett, the actor who plays Yord.
Dude, no lie. I said there are 3 actors in this show with any talent. He's one of them. He's one of the only ones. I was surprised too, because seeing him in interviews, he's not at all like the character he is in this on screen. He actually has some daring do. He's got some kind of masculine Jedi energy. He kind of reminds me of like a typical young Jedi who's, spoiling for a fight, eager to prove himself. He's got that kind of young Obi-Wan energy. He could pull that off. Unfortunately, he's in a show written by the former assistant to Harvey Weinstein, Leslie Headland, and Cube-Shaped Human, who will never, ever allow his character to shine. I'm even thinking he might turn out to be the villain somehow. I'm guessing it's possible. There was one scene that was kind of a clue that I don't know how it would work logistically, but when has that ever, when has things like a logical plot ever stopped idiots that write for Disney? So it could still happen. So this is a lie. He's saying that the fans hate Charlie Burnett. I mean, maybe some do. I don't. Now his character is pointless and has no useful lines. I mean, same thing. Master Soul, was it Lee Jung-jae, I think maybe is the name? I might be getting that wrong. He's the only other actor that has actual Jedi energy in the show. And they killed off Carrie-Anne Moss. So there you go. Those are the 3 good actors. So this is a lie. Like everything the shills say, it's a lie.
Is because of his skin color, and now that he's screwed up something completely obvious.
But you can't look and see that Anakin blowing up the Death Star possibly killed millions and millions of people. Well, Anakin just killed a whole Death Star.
That's the excuse, according to Comic Book Cat.
Well, that is a dumb as shit thing to say. That is someone who eats glue, okay? the problem, so look, he deserves all the criticism for that. He deserves all that criticism. Doesn't mean he's a bad actor necessarily. I assumed it did. Actually, I expected. I thought he was going to be the most cringe part of the show, frankly. He's not. He's really not.
That the toxic fan base needed to express their racism.
Most of the channels here on YouTube covering this stuff, right? That get the big...
No, dude, I'll tell you the most cringe part of this show is Leslie Headland's wife.
Their racism.
Most of the channels here on YouTube...
Oh, my God. In addition to being just one of the worst folks in a show stuffed with bad acting and just cringe, Shakespeare in the Park's LARPing. like we're talking really bad, folks. This is community theater level bad. In a show like that, Jeremy made this point on Geeks and Gamer. She stands out as being a bad actor. She is so bad. She talks through her teeth. She talks like this. The evidence is strong. We can't. I can't, Master Soul. I can't let you go. Can't let you go, Master Soul. We must strategize. Oh my God. But in addition to all of that, in the words of Officer Jim Dangle of the Reno Sheriff's Department, she's a very unfortunate looking woman.
Covering this stuff, right? That get the big traction. So, well, now we got a legit reason to hate them.
I'm legit excited for this. I want to see this part right here.
The big tractions.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Well, now...
There, yeah, this. I want to see this part. Just, oh my God, the girl bossery is off the charts, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even imagine what this scene is gonna look. It's all women. And she's doing the slay queen, gaze and everything. It's gonna be I cannot wait for this. Maybe it's tonight. Because tonight the episode's coming out. In fact, in mere minutes, episode 3 debuts.
We got a legit reason to hate him. It's not just because of his skin color. It's because he doesn't know the plot point or whatever.
Insinuating that if Charlie Burnett were a white guy, nobody would have ripped on him for saying that Anakin blew up the Death Star.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
God, consider that like button a middle finger to all these woke freaks and smash the shit out of it for me.
That is a great point. Oh, good. I already smashed it. All right, cool. Make sure you give Mr. Grizzy a like and a follow. A scholar, a gentleman, a servant of humanity.
All right, back to the soys who are still complaining.
If these people would have my begrudging respect, if they, in their same stance, could say, like, The Last Jedi had some fantastic direction, really great performance, you know what I mean? And they never do that.
That is...
First of all, Soy number one, Mr. Soy, the last thing I need or want in my life is respect from you. Okay. That's that is as low on my list of priorities as you could possibly get. So spare me. Spare me. But The Last Jedi, it looked pretty. So there you go. There you go. But save it. I don't need your respect. You are a shill.
100% false. I've seen quite a few people on our side praise certain aspects of The Last Jedi, whether it be visuals, acting performances, certain scenes in the movie, but obviously those things do.
Seriously, I think I liked the visuals. It was a stupid plot, but I liked the visual and the sound design of the Holdo maneuver. I did. I liked the sound, the use of silence. That was really well done. Bombers in space. That was so stupid. Like B-2 bombers in space. I was in the theater thinking, do they not understand the physics of space? This makes no sense. Is there anything else in The Last Jedi that I liked? Is there anything else? I think I liked Kylo Ren. I liked Kylo Ren killing Snoke because I thought it was going to give him a kind of interesting arc, ascending to the leadership of the First Order. I think I vaguely remember liking that. All of my friends that went with me hated the death of Snoke. I never thought Snoke was interesting. Hot take here. I never was interested in Snoke. He always struck me as a kind of generic bad guy. I was always more interested in Kylo Ren. Because I viewed Kylo Ren as being a novice who was, he was the evil version of Luke Skywalker, is kind of the way I looked at him. He was kind of a whiny farm boy who was on his way to becoming a deadly Sith Lord by the end. That's where I thought it was going, and I sort of liked that, which is not where it went. Anything else? Anything else that I liked in The Last Jedi? I've already said visuals, so it's really the same point. I liked the visuals on Crate. That's pretty much it. The ship chase was one of the most anxious experiences I've ever had in the theater. The idea of having this slow, interminable chase of fleets made no sense to me from a tactical point of view, and I hated that. I hated Canto Bight. That's one of the worst set pieces in a film I've ever seen. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There you go. I have positive things to say for Last Jedi.
Not make up for how shit The Last Jedi is. So that is false, soy number one, but what do you care? We just hate women, right?
But by the way, I would rather watch 10 more episodes of The Acolyte. I would rather chew on tinfoil than earn this man's respect. So let that be stated for the record.
Every single thing about these projects they think is bad, done by untalented, undeserving people.
Good night, Fu Man Blue. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see ya. Staffyette says, I think I'll take the cue to bow out myself. Have a great rest of the week. See you Sunday. See you Sunday, Staffyette. Let's finish up with the soys.
Because a lot of those people working on it are like women showrunners, women directors, Bryce Dallas Howard's directing it,
There it is. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit at all about the story or anything. It's all the message. It's all wokeness. It's all progressivism. It's a platform. Boring. God, I cannot imagine living in the head of these weirdos. Like, imagine your whole life being consumed with this shit. I can't even imagine that.
And they're like, Kathleen Kennedy this, and I'm a misogynist that.
You just used The Last Jedi as an example. Who did the fans blame for The Last Jedi? Who did the fans blame for The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker? And who, along with Kathleen Kennedy, are we currently blaming for the shitty direction Star Wars is going? These soy boys are so sensitive and so delicate that anyone receiving any negativity whatsoever is automatically a victim if they deem it so, including themselves when they get ripped on.
And then one was like, soy boy. And I'm like, okay.
The worst. Yeah.
That's okay. What? Okay.
Dude. You know what I think's happening? I think Grizzy's viewers, some of them are finding their way to the comment section. Oh no.
What kind of conversation do you want to have? What
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to have one. Oh, you don't. Okay, cool.
Keep in mind, these two just labeled.
What conversation? I know Grizzy's about to make this point too, I think, but what conversation am I supposed to have with someone who calls me a Nazi for saying the Acolyte sucks? Or a bigot or a misogynist or whatever? What conversation am I supposed to have with you, sir, Madam Marit?
Fans who are critical of Disney Star Wars as racist and misogynist, which is a very serious thing to label someone, especially when it's false. And here we have soy number 2 whining about being called a soy boy.
No, then just go fuck yourself. I don't know what to tell you.
They're just dumb little bitches.
Oh, scary. Oh, shiver my timbers.
They're just dumb little bitches. That's all it is. They don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah, go say that to their face, soy number 1. See what happens.
Mr. Soy, does this mean that you don't respect me? Because if I didn't have your respect, I don't think I could bear it.
Truthfully, it has changed how I experience the shows that we watch. It's
100%.
also changed my enthusiasm for wanting to watch these shows.
100%.
Wow. So
here's my question. How has watching these shows not changed your enthusiasm?
Soy number 2 admits that they're not having fun doing the Disney shill fake reactions anymore. Why is that, I wonder? Could it be that almost everything Disney has put out over the past few years has completely sucked? Or could it be that we are watching you and we are ready to rip on you for being a shill?
Sometimes when a show's coming...
That's right, Shill. That's right, Soys. That's right, Shills. We're out there. Star Fury's out there. And we're watching. We're watching. Where's my play button? Roll tape!
Coming out.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. Have a good time, Shills. Enjoy!
In my head, I'm like, I would rather just watch this on my own at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night on my projector.
They're not having fun. And the fact that we have more fun ripping on and making fun of Disney Star Wars than they do enjoying it and getting significantly more engagement on YouTube triggers the fuck out of these guys.
We put in a lot of work to make our videos and do all that stuff and our reactions and our Patreon and all that. And then you go on one of these YouTube channels that is like just so toxic and negative. And I'm like, how do you have how is it possible that 400,000 people agree with your tomfoolery? That is crazy. What is wrong with you people?
You're a bitch.
The majority of real Star Wars fans are tired of Disney Lucasfilm's bullshit. They're tired of being preached to. They're tired of being called racist. They're tired of the Force's female agenda. They're tired of put a chick in it and make her gay. They're tired of activist directors and showrunners inserting their activism into the content. And in turn, we are also sick and tired of Disney Star Wars shills like yourselves. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.
Brilliant work, Grizzy, as usual. As usual, a servant of humanity is Grizzy. Who else is going to keep an eye on him, folks? Well, there is Knights of Melvin. I do love me some Knights of Melvin. He's dude. If you think Grizzy's ruthless, holy crap! Knights of Melvin. He's the one that had the Grogu. He photoshopped the Grogu fleshlight into the hands of one of the shills in his thumbnail. It's just so good. Oh my god. Yeah, Star Fury has departed, I think, but he mentions that Hobart got chucked out by the British for being too radical. Churchill brought him back. He invented the Hobart funnies that reduced British and Canadian casualties, British and Canadian casualties, and American casualties, I would add, assaulting their beaches on D-Day. Yeah, the funnies, man. The funnies were cool. Basically, tanks that could sweep for mines and create bridges and stuff like it. It's really amazing how useful they really turned out to be. Like, they played a major part in the D-Day invasion. Wrangler suggests I should start a weekly segment called the Shill Report. Shills at 10, says Staffiere. I couldn't repurpose. Well, I suppose I could. Well, we'll think about it. Anthony says, can you smell what the shills are cooking? I do not want. Do not want. Yes. Wrangler says, Arnie from Comic Book Cast is usually one of the more reasonable from that side. What did he say today? I don't know. I don't know. Oh yeah, Charlie, you idiot! Everybody knows that Jedi Master Homer Simpson blew up the Death Star. Wrangler says I liked the Crystal Foxes. Oh yes, on in what the hell was it? Last Jedi, TLJ. Yeah, they were cool. I mean, the funny thing is, if I saw something like that now, I would just roll my eyes because I did. I'm watching Acolyte, and the first thing you see is, like, there's this little alien, and he's sitting outside of generic, Star Wars planet, generic city. And he's got, like, this weird, like, bottle stuck in his mouth and there's some bubbling red liquid in it. And I'm just thinking, like, this is just shit someone made up. And they just think, oh, that looks like Star Wars. Put that in there. And what bothers me about that is I think it fundamentally misunderstands the point of the famous Star Wars bar scene. The famous Star Wars bar scene of, Luke first coming into the port of Mos Eisley. I think people forget that there was a very important world-building, story-driven reason for that scene. And that was to illustrate that Luke lived a sheltered life far from the city. He was a good, honest farm boy. His aunt and uncle were good people who would never run afoul of the law, pay their taxes and, church on Sundays, so to speak, in whatever version whatever form that takes in the Star Wars universe. The idea was he was a small town farm boy suddenly being exposed to like a very dangerous city teeming with lowlives that he would never have encountered in his life before. He was going to be seeing, as Obi-Wan puts it, the wretched hive of scum and villainy. The scene was meant to be, both for Luke and for the audience, somewhat shocking. It's like walking into the saloon in the Western and seeing a bunch of shit you weren't prepared for. And yes, it's delightful because there's all these wacky aliens in it, but really the story of the scene is that the galaxy is teeming with life in so many different varieties with so many different cultures and lifestyles. It's overwhelming. To walk into a bar with all of them at once, it's a culture shock. That's what it was. It was a culture shock. That was what the point of the Star Wars bar scene was. I don't actually think, is there even a scene like that later in the trilogy? I don't think there is. I think that scene served its purpose, and then we didn't have that anymore. Because when Lucas shows you aliens in the Star Wars universe, there's a story-driven reason for what you're seeing. Right? And so what I'm getting at is that it's not just putting wacky aliens in a scene because that's what Star Wars is about. That's not world building. That's just riffing. That's just doing a cover band version of Star Wars because it's what you saw. And you're just replicating, you're just mimicking it. It's mimicry is what it is. It's mimicry. What I'm saying is there was a lore and story building reason for the Star Wars bar scene in A New Hope. There was a very important reason for us to have that culture shock. But once that reason had been served, you didn't really see another scene like that, did you? I mean, Jabba's palace is the nearest thing I can think of. But even Jabba's palace was very different than the bar scene. Yes, there were wacky aliens there, but there was a totally different hierarchy. There was totally different thing going on in Jabba's palace, and it was meant to show you another culture, a culture of sort of, proud gangsters who live like royalty and they're decadent and hedonistic. Jabba's a hedonist. That's basically what he is. So even when you are seeing wacky aliens in the original Star Wars saga, it is for a purpose. There's a story that's being told. There is lore being built. And you know what that makes you feel as an audience member? It makes you feel curious. It makes you curious. Ooh, what's that weird-looking guy? Where's he from? What's he doing? Why does he have that thing on his face? And this is very important because the feeling that you have as an audience member is that there is a reason. The difference with Disney Star Wars writers is there is no reason. There's no reason the guy has a stupid glass bowl on his face with red liquid. There's no reason. Because Leslie Headland, a very unfortunate-looking cube-shaped woman, thinks that that's what Star Wars is. Anakin blow up the Death Star. They're stupid people. There's nothing behind it. It's just a facade. It's like the pot-belly dictator in North Korea. He's got those little fake storefronts that have pictures of a bunch of food on grocery shelves, right? It's just fake, so that if the outside world gets a look at it, they'll think that there's all these stock shelves and whatever. That's the equivalent of what Disney Star Wars is. It's just a fake facade of what something that looks vaguely like Star Wars. My intelligence is insulted every time I watch one of these shows. I mean insulted. Because I feel like these shows think I'm stupid. Like, seriously. They expect me never to wonder about anything in this world. They expect me never to have a question about anything I see. You realize that? The Acolyte never wants me to be curious about where did that alien come from? Why does that alien have that apparatus on his face? Hey, why would the Jedi do this instead of that? Hey, how do young Jedi actually learn the Force? And what's going on with that? This show isn't interested in any of that. It doesn't want me asking any of those questions because to answer those questions would require two things, work and talent. Two things that are in very short supply at the Disney company. So, yeah, Acolyte, in case I haven't said it strongly enough, Leslie Headland is a scumbag who has no writing talent. This show is trash. It is crap. It's an embarrassment. In a sane world, everyone attached to this project would be blacklisted in Hollywood and humiliated. They would be laughed at by any producer who caught wind that they worked on this stupid pile of trash. Unfortunately, the woke mind virus institutionalizes vanity, greed, moral depravity, mediocrity, deception, and just all around loser mindset is what the woke mind virus makes possible. And it is why we have these shows. These shows are garbage. They have nothing to say. They are boring in the extreme. They're vile. They're absolutely vile. And I can't wait for episode 3. I'm going to have some fun with this. Screw them. That's what I say. It's funny. I was kind of like, I feel a second wind. The more that these assholes want to lie and say that, oh, this is stunning and brave, and you're such racists and bigots for not liking it, that just lights a fire under me. This show deserves mockery. It deserves to be It deserves to be torn to shreds. It's trash, and it is destroying the beauty and miracle of art in our society. Okay. Anthony says, at least the Three Stooges had some intelligence. I would agree with that. Wrangler says, I'm not keeping an eye on them, except the rare few that I think may get red-pilled a little ways down the road. I mean, yeah, look. If somebody likes the show and they want to debate me on the merits of it, I'd be happy to do that. I'd love to talk through that and have fun with it, and I'd be very polite. Ultimate Kahuna, last night on your show, Wrangler, on Frequency Studios, we had a very fun disagreement about Walter White. I enjoyed the hell out of that. He thinks Walter White was bad from the beginning. I'm saying he started out as generally a good guy who went to the dark side. That's a fun debate to have. I'm happy to debate anyone. I'm happy to give the benefit of the doubt to someone who says, well, I like the Acolyte. Seriously, someone says, no, well, I like the Acolyte. I thought it was good. I wouldn't say screw you. I'd say, tell me why, because I'm curious. And I'd want to know. And, they even said, like, these assholes can't even name one good thing about The Last Jedi. And I'm like, yeah, sure I can. I can name something good and something bad about every movie I've ever seen. That's not what this is about, right? So, like, I enjoy a spirited debate. But when these assholes say things like you're a racist or a misogynist, get fucked. Like, seriously, get fucked. I got no time for you. I got no pity for you. You're a loser. We're going to make fun of you. We're going to meme on you. Oh, there's all these people in my comments. Fuck off. You've earned it. Or not. I don't even care. I really don't even care. You're entertainment for me. You're the freak show. The Shills are the freak show, and I'm enjoying it. So when they when they lie and they defame, here's the problem. These are the same losers that want to talk about consequence culture. There should be consequences for falsely accusing people of racism. And there should be consequences. And I'm not, not saying anything like to the level of like imprisonment or something. I'm just saying socially, your social currency as a human, right? I'm talking about how people perceive you, your reputation. There was a time when people cared about their reputation. You should care. If you are caught falsely accusing someone of racism, there should be a harsh social penalty for that. I'm not talking about something enforced or a law or like ESG. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying just, in polite society, people are like, oh, you're the guy that's always out there lying about people. It's like, I know you. Get away from me. That's called normal human behavior, right? For some reason, this sick worldview that they have has institutionalized this ability to just lie and divide. And my point is, it does have consequences. And the consequences are it coarsens our society. It has people at each other's throats. We can't have an honest discussion. I mean, really, these lies that they tell are part of the reason these shows are so trash. How does Disney keep coming out with this trash? Because it is built on lies. It's built on the lies that, well, these are good shows. They're representative. There's diversity. Women are brilliant at everything. They can do no wrong. And we've got 50 women working on this thing, and people love women. It's good. Why isn't it selling? Well, because they're all racist and bigots, sir. Oh, that must be why. The consequences of these lies are that it is preventing healing. Okay, when a show comes out and it sucks, like a wound, it has to scab over and then it has to heal. It might leave a scar, but then there's healing involved. These assholes just keep the wound. They just keep picking it open. That's the problem with these lies. And that's what, so yeah, if someone's like, I enjoy the show, I want to talk about it, or I want to have a debate about it, or share with you why I think it's right. Yeah, we'll have a debate. I'll enjoy it. We'll be fun. And I'll be as respectful as you're willing to be. But if anyone is going to go to the level of you're an ism, yeah, it's like pound sand, kick rocks. I got no time for you. And I definitely got no pity. I got no pity for you. So that's just the hard line. I'm done tolerating this. I don't want to live. I'm not interested in sharing anything with people that are like this. I'm really not. I used to, believe it or not, I have been a very, how shall I say? I'm a nice guy. Believe it or not, the captain is a nice guy. And I've had a lot of tolerance. I've had a very high pain threshold for people like this that I've known personally in my life for a long time. I'm done with all that. You want to play this game? We're going to play it. The difference is you're a loser and I'm not. And that's the difference. So the gauntlet has been thrown. Anthony says they don't want you asking questions they have zero answers for. Yeah, I don't understand. And look, here's the deal. I don't think there are very few people that are watching The Acolyte and enjoying it. And if they are, they're not, I would not call them like super fans of Star Wars. I don't think that's likely. The most charitable thing I could say, there are probably people that want it to be good so bad that they kind of create it for themselves. They say things like, oh, I've always wanted to see 100 years before the newer, and just see another era. And I understand that. That was how I was with Star Trek Discovery. I wanted it to be good, and so I would sometimes kind of give it more patience than it deserved. And it's like, so I have sympathy for people with that perspective, but it's like, I don't think there's many of those people left. I really don't, because like these shows are bad. And I just think, unless it's your grift, you're a shill, or you've got some kind of ideological stake in this. You have a weird obsession with counting up how many people are gay or how many people are brown or whatever it is. This weird, sick way that you look at humans. You've got to fetishize every diversity checkpoint. That's not Star Wars fandom. That's a fandom of something else. I don't know what it is, and I'm not really interested in what that is. That's a different fandom. That's a kind of Tumblr situation going on there. I don't think there's many people that are genuine fans of science fiction or Star Wars that are like going to defend this show. And they might say, oh, I liked this or that. Hey, I thought Charlie Barnett was pretty good in terms of his energy as a Jedi. That ain't going to save the show, and that ain't going to make it worth watching. Sorry. It just ain't. So, all right, folks. Well, I did not expect this to turn into, like a full-blown show. I really didn't. But I'm glad the sound is fixed. The sound is fixed. Captain's Cast is back on the menu, boys. Holy shit. I had some pent-up... Dude, it was... I had some pent-up energy on Sunday because I was loaded. I was loaded on this show, and I had all kinds of stuff for Sunday. That was the worst time ever to be denied a Captain's Cast, let me tell you. I was like, oh my god, I had so much to say, as Wrangler found out last night. I hope I didn't, take over too much of the show, Wrangler. Well, the Acolyte is trash. Nothing would make me happier than for someone to want to debate this with me. But unfortunately, no one's going to. Because it is. It just is. All right, well, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I've got work to do, because I still got to work on my review for Acolyte Episode 2. I got to work on my Hot D reviews. I got to get ready for that. I'm going to review some Season 1 stuff. I've got Episode 3. I am stacked, folks. So until next time, this is Captain Garrett saying, I will see you, my dear sailors and star nauts, out there.